So Drew, welcome to Spain. First of all, how are you doing?
Fantastic. It's good to be back in Spain. I've been to Málaga here a couple of times when I was a kid. Obviously, being from the UK, our holiday destination is generally Spain and Greece. So I probably came here for the first time when I was about 6 or 7 years old. So it's good to be back. I remember the sunshine.
Well, we got sunshine today. It's a really nice day.
Oh, it's always a nice day in Spain. I love it.
So let's start from NXT. You were an NXT champion, but you got injured. Do you think there's something missing that you have to go back to NXT to
No, I
reclaim
thought,
the title?
Obviously, that was my initial thought process. Andrade and Zelina came in with a game plan that not only cost me my NXT title, but cost me to tear my bicep. And I lost 5 months of my career. The first 5 months I've ever had off in 18 years as a wrestler. I've never had time off more than 6 weeks in my entire career. So it was very difficult at first. Just losing my title, working so hard to come back to WWE. I wanted to be part of NXT. That was a company I felt I could help and help build. And it was a great team around me, and we're really doing some great things. And to have that all taken away because of Andrade, that was very disappointing. And my goal was obviously to come back. And he took my arm. I planned to take his head, and that's still the case. But he's heading to SmackDown. I'm obviously on Raw, and our paths will cross soon enough. And as soon as they cross, he's gonna have hell to pay. But for right now, more specifically, while I was hurt, I actually had time to sit down and watch the show. And I've been watching, more wrestling than I've been able to watch for a long time because I'm so busy in general. And I've been really watching Raw and studying it, and I noticed basically that it's not exactly all killer. Like there's some great stuff, there's some great athletes, but there's some people there that don't necessarily look like they should be there. Let's say, and I went backstage during one of the shows. I've said this in an interview on WWE.com. And I noticed the atmosphere was a little different from the last time I was here, and there wasn't any tension in the air. There was a lack of eye of the tiger, if you like. There was a lack of a competitive spirit backstage with each other. And back in the day, WWE and WCW used to have this rivalry, and the reason it was so good was because they were having to bring their A game every week. And then when WCW closed, WWE had all these alpha males, all these great WWE superstars, all these sports entertainers that were the best of the best, all fighting each other for the top spot, and it made great TV for the fans, and it grew the audience, and that was a great thing about it. But now it seems like there's only so many people willing to fight for that top spot, which means when we've got 3 hours of Raw, 2 hours of SmackDown every week, that's a lot of open air with people that are just kind of happy to be there and happy to be in WWE, just do whatever's asked of them and collecting a paycheck. And every time I look at the screen, because I've been doing it so long, I can look in a man's eyes and I can tell, or a girl's eyes, and I can tell if they want to be here, if they've got the fire in their eyes. And when I don't see that, it frustrates me because I know in NXT there's about 100 people with that fire in their eyes that will take their spot in a second. So I'm here to just eradicate the people that don't need to be here, to set an example for everybody and bring back the old ways, if you like.
We can say the NXT is the third WWE brand. The development is being amazing, and the future is even brighter. Do you think there's a possibility we have an NXT show here in Spain in the near future?
Oh, there should be. I'm surprised there's not been one already. NXT just keeps growing and growing. It's obviously, done shows in multiple shows in the UK. It's even been to Australia. We're traveling around the world. It's 100% going to happen. It's going to travel across Europe. I'm really surprised it's not happened already, but it is going to happen. NXT is not developmental. I hate when people say that. I was in developmental. I was in OVW. I was in FCW. I've seen it grow. Even at the beginning of NXT, I've seen that. That was still developmental on a huge scale, but now it's the third brand. You cannot call that developmental. It is huge. It's its own traveling show. The roster's fantastic. The production's fantastic, and the crowd are really part of the roster. They're so interactive, they know everybody, they're so involved, and they're such students of the game, they're such fans of it, that really it's for the fans, by the fans, and it's really a cool thing. And when people call it developmental, when I first arrived, I said on the first day, if anyone calls it that, I'm going to smack them across the head, because this place deserves to be known as the third brand, and one day there's going to be trades across the 3 rosters, and look what just happened. I was traded from NXT to Raw, and that was the first thing I said. One day we're going to have trades between the brands. It's not going to be called up. I wasn't called up to Raw. I was traded to Raw because the time was right for me to go in there and make a difference.
So you're back in Monday Night Raw now. How different is this locker room from when you have a few years ago?
Like I say, the reason I can comment on people is because I was one of those people. I was one of the guys just sitting there, just, I had these aspirations, but in my back of my head, and I was like, I wish I was doing this, and I should be doing this, and I know I can do this, but was I willing to fight for it? No. Was I in the gym, looking the best I can look? Was I pitching the best ideas? Was I, doing everything 100%. No, I was working as I learned when I left the company, and I had no guaranteed money coming in, and I worked 100%, and I became one of the top, wrestlers outside of WWE in the world. I was like, wow, this all happened because I'm giving it my everything. I really wasn't giving my everything in the top company in the world. What happened to me? What's wrong with me? And I can make these comments, I can make these judgments now because I was one of those guys. And I'm here to just, I had to get fired. It was the best thing that happened to me. I'm here to say to people, I'm sorry, but the best thing that might happen to you is getting fired, and you either sink or swim. I said, I swam like hell. And the reason I swam, the reason I swam the way I swam is because I gave it absolutely everything I had. I know nothing else but wrestling and sports entertainment. This is all I've ever done. It's all I know, and I made it happen because I wanted it. And I gave it everything I absolutely had, and that's what's missing.
Being a tag team now with Dolph Ziggler, how do you feel?
Good. Like Dolph's somebody who I met as soon as I got here. He's seen the way it was. We used to be on the road with the Undertakers, the Edges, the Rey Mysterios, the Christians, Ric Flair. I was in the same roster as him when I was 22, so was Dolph. We've been on the road with the people who have been around for a long time. That the Undertaker, right up to his last day when he was on the road full time, just was constantly fire in his eyes. No matter how beat up he was backstage, if he couldn't walk, when he got to that ring, he was flying around. He was the Undertaker in every possible way. That's a guy who's such an inspiration. But the guys now, they haven't been on the road with these people. They've not had a chance to learn from these people. They've maybe met them once or twice at the shows they show up, but they've not been on the road, and that's the way it used to be. You had such examples to look up to, and I looked up to Undertaker more than anybody, and now we don't have that anymore. And I feel like I need to be that guy, and I'm still 32. I've been wrestling 18 years. People think I'm about 40, in my early 40s, because I've been around forever. But now I know. I was like, wow, I need to be here. I need to set an example for everybody, not just for the good of me, but for the good of the business.
Well, the last one, I would like to ask you about your future. What are your future goals? Your goals for example, probably you said the Universal title, or do you prefer maybe first the Intercontinental title? What do you have in line for the future?
Yeah, like how you say, the championships, when you hold a championship, people tend to pay attention, and we want to be representatives. Dolph and I are working for a common goal right now. We've been around with, he's somebody who is perhaps not through any fault of his own, found himself in a situation where he's not been doing much for a while, got a little complacent because he's not had the chance to be outside the bubble, but he still has that fire, and I saw he still had that fire. So I came in, relit that fire. Now he's ready to come with me and fight by my side, and we're going to take maybe the tag titles first. Maybe he'll go for the IC title. Maybe I'll be the one to go for Brock. So I ain't scared of Brock. So somebody needs to get that title off of him. Somebody needs to represent the company. And if we start just piling up the titles, people are going to pay attention. They're going to start listening to our message. And just in the end, when we talk, if you feel it, that it's real, then you're probably going to bite onto it, because people can go on the screen, or they can do an interview like right now, and they can just talk, and you can listen, and you can be like, okay, that was a pleasant chat they just had on television. Or you can talk and people go, wow, he's right. I feel that because what he's saying is true, and that's what I feel. I believe it, I feel it, and if people agree with me, that's cool. If they don't, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should just be kicked back out the door. But I genuinely believe something needs to change around here, and I believe we're the guys to do it.
Thank you so much for your time. Good luck moving forward.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. That's all right.
Perfect. I'll take Drew back. I think Drew wants a quick chat with you.
Oh. ¿Qué tal?
Let's get you to sign.
¿Qué tal todo por aquí? Bienvenido a Málaga.
Gracias.
Y te quedas por aquí entonces, me dijiste
Hasta el miércoles.
Bien, entonces, ¿no?
Sí, para cubrir Raw SmackDown mañana y pasado.
Ya te contaré más o menos dónde puedes ir a comer y dónde puedes tomarte algo, algún
Perfecto.
cafelillo, alguna cosita. Nada, muchas gracias por esta oportunidad, por estos 5 minutitos con cada uno. Súper agradecido, la verdad.
Ella es quien hace la mañana.
Así que nada, voy a coger la cámara.
Si necesitas algo.